Okay guys, in this video I'm going to show you how a couple of years ago I went from this to this and how I use running for fat loss and weight loss. I'm Steve, this is Life at the White House. Let's get into it. Okay now guys, now when we're talking about a transformation like this, it is important to note that one, it doesn't happen overnight, and two, diet is going to be really crucial here, and consistency over time. Now it's okay if you slip up here and there, but long-term consistency is what's going to be key. Now on that note, on diet, I've tried everything under the sun in order to try and lose weight, and I'm still now looking at different things and how to make it better for me and what fits best and works best for me. But when I was making this transformation, I think the thing that helped me the most and when I saw the best results was when I was following the keto diet. And now if you're interested in that and you want to check that out for yourself, I've left a link in the description down below, and that's the program that I followed when I was doing this, and that helped me get the best results. So yeah, if you want to check that out, that's what I did. That's the program that I followed, and that's the diet, and I recommend it. It was really good, a lot of different variety in there. So that's the diet that I followed. Okay guys, I think in the beginning, I think when I was this big, that's me at probably over 300 pounds in that picture, which is very heavy, and it's impossible to, at that size and at that body fat percentage, to go out and run consistently every other day or day in and day out. What I did was I tracked out a route around my home, not my garden, just like out in the streets and through the park and a few other bits and bobs, but it was basically a big circle, and that encompassed about 5 kilometers, so 5k. Now in the beginning, what I'd do was I would walk big sections of that, and I would run very small sections, because physically I wasn't capable of running a 5k because I was very big. But then over time, as I got fitter and I started to lose weight, following the diet plan and being consistent with both my diet and my exercise, I found that I could run for longer. So what happened was, these periods of walking they were huge at the start, and they became shorter and shorter, and then the periods of running, as I was getting fitter, were getting longer and longer. So that's what I did. Even in the beginning, I started with a 5k, but I wasn't running straight away. You know, I was walking before I could run. So that's what I did. So I had routes in my head. As soon as I passed that house, I was going to run for a little stretch, and in the beginning I could only run for maybe 15 to 20 seconds before getting out of breath. I mean, I was a big guy, but you know, that was enough, and I was exhausted, and you know, it was like I was pulling a car behind me, but it was a start, and that's the most important thing. You have to start with it. But yeah, I tracked out a 5 kilometer route, and that was my route. I ran it one way or the other, and there were slight different variations in there, but essentially it was 5k. And then the walking periods got shorter until eventually I was capable of jogging very slowly around that whole 5 kilometer route, and then I tracked my time. So it started off me being very slow jog once I was capable of doing the whole route, and then as I got fitter and I lost a bit of weight, the times would improve as I got faster and I got fitter, and one thing led to another, and I was able to then run around it fairly quickly. I think I got down to about 23-24 minutes when I was running a 5k, and then obviously when I started, I think I was probably over an hour it took me, because I was walking the vast majority of it. So that's important. I think it's very daunting for people when they first they have this image in the head of themselves running a 5k and what that's going to be like, but you don't have to run all the time straight away. You can start with walking and then just build up slowly. Have a few little runs here and there, and then as you progress, then periods of running become larger and the periods of walking become shorter until you're capable of running that 5k, and then faster and faster and faster. Okay, now as I just mentioned before there, I did have a few different variations on my route. Essentially it was basically the same, but some routes were a little bit harder and some routes were slightly easier. And then I felt like when I was progressing and I wanted to build endurance, I would select a route that had a lot of hills. And this was very, very challenging, but also built up my engine, so my endurance would improve a great deal. So I'd pick the harder route, I'd run that for maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and then I'd go back to my original route, and I found that both with the combination of me running over time and running over time with a harder route, I'd then go back to the original route, and I was capable of doing it a lot quicker because my endurance had improved, because I've been putting myself through the ringer, doing these hill runs and everything else that were on this harder route. And I think that's really important. I think it's difficult if you're running out on the road to involve some sort or some form of progressive overload. So in the gym, when you want to build up your muscles and you want to train, use progressive overload. And so you would start in the beginning with a light weight. As you get stronger, just stack on more weight and more weight. It's a little bit more challenging to do that when you're running, because even though in my head I wanted to use that method of progressive overload, you can't just keep doing that when you're running, so you have to find more challenging routes. And then I found that that was a form of progressive overload that I could use to then improve my time on my normal route, which is a lot flatter. But yeah, I think that's important. Once you've got your route sorted and you are capable of jogging the 5k, what you want to do then is pick a slightly harder route, find a few hills, make it more challenging for you, and in the long term you will become fitter and you'll become a better athlete if that's what you're trying to do, or at the very least you'll become fitter and healthier. So I think running hills and challenging yourself, although in the moment you're going to be cursing me out because you're going to be wondering why Steve is asking me to do this, but over the long term you're going to be a lot healthier, and it's going to help you a lot more in the long term if you were to choose them harder routes and improve your endurance. But remember, only when you're capable of running the initial 5k first. Okay, so once you've got that down, you can do that, then you want to start challenging yourself with harder routes, hill running, things like that, and then come back to it and you'll see a massive improvement, and that makes everything worthwhile. Okay guys, next I want to talk about hitting walls. And by that what I mean is you're consistent with your running, you're consistent with your diet, but for some reason you find that your times aren't really improving. Now that happens to everyone, especially once you get to a stage where you have been improving quite a bit. So in the beginning the improvements will be very big, and that will really excite you, and that will encourage you to then put your trainers back on, go out there and keep running and keep finding these improvements. And it's very addictive once you start getting fitter and healthier to keep going with that. I think for me it was difficult once I sort of got to a certain stage and then I couldn't really have them improvements or that the signs of improvements that I was having previously. And I was a bit like, oh, what's going on now? But after a bit of research I found that happens to everyone. So when you're hitting walls, don't panic, don't worry. That doesn't mean you're not going to get any fitter in the future, or this is it, you won't ever be able to run any faster than what you're currently running. It just means that you've hit a wall, so you just need to climb over that wall. So what you need to do is just be consistent. If that's the route that you're running when it's really flat, like I mentioned before, mix up slightly. Go on your harder routes, stick with that for a few weeks and then come back and run your original route. But don't worry, everyone hits a wall, it's normal, and it's just something that everybody has to push through and get through. So don't feel bad about that. It happens to everyone, happens to me all the time, but push through it. It's going to be better on the other side. If you're consistent, exercise and diet, the results are going to come. Okay guys, I think I should mention really listening to your body, because I know that when you start a new exercise regime and you want to be consistent with it and you're seeing all the results, so sometimes you overdo it, but you need to listen to your body. Like I did mention, hitting walls and pushing through them, but there is a limit. You have to be sensible with what you're doing. Like if you feel like your body can't handle going out every day, do not go out every day. If you feel your body can't handle going out every other day at the start, don't do that. If it's, you know, twice a week, if that's all you can manage, then run twice a week or walk twice a week. As long as you're out there and you're doing something and you're trying to improve, that's good enough. I think with any exercise regime, it's always important to discuss that with your GP or general practitioner, just to make sure you are capable and fit enough, if there's no underlying health issues that may crop up. So you need to discuss that with a professional and with your local doctor. So yeah, listen to your body when you're starting something new, a new regime. It's very, very important. I don't want you guys going out there and getting injured. That would be horrible, and then you'd be downhearted, and then you'd be, you know, sitting on the sofa eating popcorn, crisps and soda and stuff because you think running's not for you. But it is a good form of exercise, but it is important not to push yourself too hard too early, because then none of the good results come. So little improvements are what's key. Consistency over the long term is what's key. And if you feel like you can't go out and run today or tomorrow, then you don't have to. As long as you're making the small improvements, that's it, that's good enough, and then you move forward from there. But always listen to your body, always consult with a doctor or a GP about what you're doing, just to make sure that you are physically capable of doing that, and that there's no underlying health issues. So yeah, listen to your body guys, try and avoid injuries as best as you can, warm up correctly, yeah, and listen to your body. Okay guys, all the gear with all the idea. I know it's normally all the gear with no idea. We're taking a different spin on it. I think if you're running consistently and a lot, you're going to need the proper equipment. I think when you first get going, it's okay to maybe not have the best of the best, and then as you progress, I'm not talking about spending hundreds and hundreds of pounds or hundreds of dollars on all the top gear and all the top stuff, but there are a few things that I think that are really, really important when you're trying to do this, when you're trying to run a 5k. One is footwear, so the correct trainers and insoles. If not, just something that's going to help absorb that impact a little as you're clocking up them miles on the road. You're going to want to invest in them. They're going to be key. And maybe if you like listening to music when you're out running, you're going to want some earbuds or earphones that aren't going to fall out when you're running, because I've tried loads and there's been some really, really bad ones where you start running and all of a sudden they fall on the floor. You have to stop every 2 seconds to go and pick them up, and then you just stuff them in your pocket and you just run without music because they're rubbish. But yeah, don't go out and spend hundreds or even thousands of dollars, because it's definitely possible to go out and do that nowadays. But just make sure that you've got the equipment which will allow you to do this without any pain, really. So correct footwear, insoles, earphones if you like listening to music when you're out running, maybe some compression tops, compression shorts. but that's it. So they're the basics, and I'll link in the description what I would recommend and what I use when I'm out running. They'll be linked down there. You don't have to use them, it's just a recommendation. That's what I use. But yeah, it's the key things again. Well, first and foremost will be footwear, and then after that, you know, your earphones and your clothing and what you're wearing. But yeah, footwear is probably going to be key with this guy, so it's important to get that. Okay, tracking progress is going to be so key. It's going to be your biggest motivating factor, hands down. Like if you, like me, and you have had a lot of weight to lose, I feel like it's really important to not only track how fast you're completing a 5k, but also for me, I found what was really helpful was to take before and after pics. So some days, like before, when I mentioned when I was hitting the wall, I felt like I wasn't progressing. To be able to look at this picture and then compare it with this picture, I was running downstairs to lace up my trainers because it was so hugely motivating for me to see how far I'd come. And I think sometimes even when you're standing on the scales and they don't really move, but you have a before picture and you can see that your body's changed a little bit, that is hugely motivational, guys. So you know, if you don't feel comfortable showing these pictures to anyone else when you take a picture of yourself in like that, don't do it. Just like do it for you, put it in a private folder, whatever. But I think it's really important just to see how far you've come. And also I think when you take pictures like that, you're then encouraged further to be consistent with your diet and your exercise. Now diet, like I mentioned at the start, I've linked down below. But yeah, the motivation I got, and I still get, because I'm still trying to, you know, get my body to the best condition it can possibly be. And make sure you subscribe to see that whole transformation. So I think up here I was, God, 310 pounds, something like that. That's really big. And then I got down to maybe under 200 here. So it's a huge change, £100 difference. It's massive. And when you see them pictures, when I look at them, I'm like, wow, I've achieved something amazing there. And it is, for me personally, to see what I've done and what I'm capable of achieving, it's hugely motivational. So I would definitely encourage you guys to do that. Not only track your times, but your before and afters as well. Track your progress like that, not just with the scales, not just with the time that you're running, but also with how you're looking, because you know that's fantastic. And then when your jeans feel a little bit looser, and then you look in the mirror but you're not really sure because you see yourself every day, when you can look at this and you can look at this, it's going to blow your mind, and you're just going to want to get out and improve and improve and improve. Because yeah, it's amazing to do that. So I would definitely recommend taking before and afters, because that was the biggest motivating factor for me by a long way. And even and even between these two, you know, when I was like in the middle, and I'm comparing these from where I was in the middle to where I was now, it was still a huge difference, and that motivated me again. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that as something extra to move you along and motivate you along this journey. So if you've got a lot of weight to lose, if you've got a little bit of weight to lose, or if you know you're not really interested in weight loss as such, you just want to get fitter, you want to change how your body looks a little bit, I think even then taking pictures is going to help you no end, because when the scale doesn't move you can get really downhearted, but when you look at how far you've come in terms of a picture, you know, that's amazing. They don't really lie. So yeah, it's really important to track it in that way and in that manner, because for me, yeah, that was really important. But yeah, that's all my advice. If you've got any more questions, guys, leave them for me down there in the comments, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I just want to say thank you guys for continuing to subscribe as well. There's a subscribe button down the bottom here, so I'm not sure what side, but you click on that and you can subscribe. I think we're over 70 subscribers now, which is insane. So we've got over 70 subscribers, and yeah, I think I mentioned it in every video how happy I so happy I can't even speak. How happy I am that I'm happy that people are subscribing to the channel, and it brings a massive smile to my face when people are choosing to do that. And you know, the 100 mark is something that I'm not sure if I thought I'd ever achieve. I was just doing these videos just to keep me motivated, but knowing that people are so interested in them that, you know, one day, maybe next month or the month after that, I might have a channel here that gets to 100 subscribers. Is absolutely mind-blowing. But yeah, we're over 70 subscribers now, guys, and I just wanted to thank every single one of you, because yeah, it's amazing that you're choosing to be part of this little community, and that you're so positive in the comments, and everyone's so nice and friendly and encouraging. It's amazing. So thank you, guys. I'm Steve. This has been Life at the White House. I'll see you again next time. Hi guys, thanks so much for watching the video. If you did like it, please do drop a thumbs up down below. If you want to see more videos, click on the link on the left hand side, and if you've got any questions for me, leave them down there in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But apart from that, remember to subscribe, and I'll see you again next time.